This felt like a game that you needed to win. I realize, Derek, it's July, so that might be too big. But this felt like a game that you needed to win, take the series, carry some momentum into Washington. Not a great team. But you gave up a run in the 6th, pushed Eovaldi out of the game, and then it was a catastrophe in the 7th inning.
I feel like I've seen people talking about this too. Do we have a curse of the 7th inning? It seems like that's when a lot of the damage is happening to us. But on top of that,
that's an interesting question. I'm going to go investigate.
We need to dive into it.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is, now I just lost my train of thought with what we were just doing.
Because you're thinking about how crappy it went.
It was very.
It's
tough, but it's like you're also thinking we did use a lot of pitching. First off, that's the thing. This is a series that we needed to win.
Yeah.
You got to get. Boston's not the greatest of teams. They're not bad, but they're not great. And you needed that momentum going into Washington because now there's more pressure going into Washington. You have to sweep. You know, we were talking about this in the elevator. Ooh. You have to sweep this.
And that's a lot of...
This is a
road
bad
sweep
team.
Is a high bar.
100%. But this is a bad team. This is a team that's almost as bad as Oakland and Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. No, they're terrible.
So you cannot drop down to their level of playing.
They have the 4th worst record in baseball.
Who's the 3rd?
The Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
So, and those two are pretty close.
But that's my point. Like going into that, this is a team that, I mean, you can't lose to them going in there. And Boston, that's a team that you really needed to beat just to get things going, like I said, to head into Washington and then the All-Star break. You need this.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised, but some people have said maybe it's not the curse of the 7th inning, it's the curse of not having a good bullpen.
Yeah, bingo. That's where I was going to go. It's like, what happens in the 7th inning? You're usually into your bullpen, but not your high leverage situation, guys. You're into some of the weaker parts of your bullpen.
I will still investigate it though, because now the bullpen's been so bad. Out of just pure fascination, I want to go research. Like, hey, what is the statistical breakdown of when we lose this plethora of leads? But I think Reggie is onto something.
But I think it's also that's when we give up the most runs. That's where I'm trying to look at the most is in the 7th inning. I feel like that's it. Because like Reggie was saying too, you're not sending out there. Well, maybe we are now, but you didn't have Spores, Chapman, or Will Smith coming out around that time. So that's the other thing. Those are your 3 guys that are your most dependable guys.
Or at least they had been, but this is the 2nd time in the last 3 outings that Spores has S the bed. And it cost you... Well, look, a lot of things cost you. It in part cost you that game against Houston, and it definitely was part of the reason you lost last night against Boston.
But remember, we talked about this too before, is when the team's going good, we had everything working. Both the pitching, the hitting, everything was good. It was flowing. And then, obviously, we were going, and I knew this was going to happen at some point. And to me, this is why I'm happy it's happening now, especially before the All-Star break, because you get that time off, clear everybody's heads, and now we come back and we're good to go. But you're running into the point right now where, okay, offense is fairly keeping us in it for the most part. They're putting up the runs. The starting pitching has been, for the most part, pretty consistent of keeping us in the game. For the most part. I see you're about to kill me there.
No. I was going to say, I think some people would argue about the offensive point, but we can move to that
It's been going back and forth. Yeah. Like, it's been like one game, the rotation's been lights out and the offense was dead. And then it was the other way around where the offense was lights out and the rotation was dead. So that's where we're at right now is we're getting... Everything's not clicking at the same time, which, again, this All-Star break is going to be huge, but we have to end this first half by sweeping Washington.
Okay.
Can I bring this text to the 4 here on the text line, 877-881-1053? It is not about my hair.
I did see some people texting in about your hair.
Someone said that I look like I'm trying out for the Mavericks, and you know what? I absolutely am. If I can get $250,000, $500,000, no. But
what's the league minimum?
I'd need to go and double check, but whatever it is, I want it.
You would have to get that
now.
Like 700.
I can wave a towel. I'm a great locker room guy, you know. No, but it was brought up from the 214. They say the pen is being mismanaged. Anderson, they say, isn't very good in that high leverage situation. That should be Aroldis Chapman.
Okay, I want to argue that though.
Please
How do you get those guys those situations? You're never going to know if you don't put them in those situations. So you can sit here and say that they're mismanaging the bullpen, but how would we know if we don't give him that opportunity? He needs to show that he can get those people out in that situation. And how else is he going to do that if you don't give him the opportunity?
And then also, I guess the question that I ask is Aroldis Chapman is it even the right way to play him, to just bring him in the first high leverage situation that you get and just utilize him in that instance and then figure out the rest of what you're going to do? Because, I mean, I think that we had this conversation, what was it, a couple years ago, Kevin, when we were doing should you have a ninth inning closer every time, or should that best high leverage situation be the way that you utilize him?
Because I definitely think that people ignore the 6th and 7th inning save. Like, it doesn't get it registered like that. I know you get the hold, but you can definitely look back at situations when you're like, the 7th inning, that was the save.
Yeah, I like that, but at the same time, you need him at the 8th and 9th inning. We got to be able to see if we can stretch him out too. He's only been going 1 inning every single time. He's a guy that he's got enough experience, enough time.
We're talking about Chapman now?
Chapman, yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, Chapman should be a guy that we could possibly use in the 8th or 9th inning. The thing is too, with him and Will Smith, we're still kind of going back and forth is who's going to be the true closer. It's Will Smith's job to lose right now because this is his team. Spores is going through a little bit of a funk. I know that we need to try to, get those save situation or the holds in those earlier innings, but do you want to burn that guy? You want to burn Chapman in the 6th and 7th inning, and then now what?
Yeah,
Then you got to go to your other guys and see if you can rely on them too now.
You're right about that. It's tough because I agree with that text in terms of last night. I don't know if I agree across the board, just because I thought there was a long period of time when you had so many struggling pieces in your bullpen. But I think that would have been a logical time to use Chapman. But then again, Bochy had said he was opening him up to pitching in the 9th inning. And so maybe that's what he had in mind, and it just didn't work out. It's a disappointment across the board.
It's very frustrating, but too, let's not forget, though, that we still have first place. I get it where the lead is getting shorter and shorter, which, the panic meter is kind of climbing and climbing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we at least still have a little bit to play with here, and we can go from there when it comes to the whole pitching side of things.
And somebody did ask this, and I wanted to talk about it for just a second because he's an awesome dude, great friend of the show. Somebody asked, what's up with Taylor Hearn? Where is he? He finished last year almost unhittable. Could he be an option? So one of the issues that I know Mike and I have talked about this a couple of times is he's struggling with some control issues.
That's in AAA right now?
In Round Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not a disaster or anything like that, and at times this bullpen does feel like a disaster, but he doesn't have the breakaway or I guess breakout stats that you would hope for, or the control stats that you would hope for down in Round Rock. I still think he's a consideration, but I don't know how the current management feels about him is the best way
I think right now they definitely want to see him prove that he can get things back. He's kind of in that funk. But the other thing too is I think about this as well, and this is where I wish Mike was here because he's so good at knowing the prospects. What do we have that we can actually replace right now that's maybe being successful, whether it's in AA or AAA? Mainly you want to look at your guys in AAA just because it's a lot closer to the competition of the big league level. Do we have any options besides our 40-man guys? Or are our 40-man guys actually performing?
I actually think there's a couple of options in the 40-man group.
And let me say this too, then real quick too. Why not take? I get it. There's some of the guys that are starters that are down there that are on the 40-man. Do what they did, like to me and Neftali. Start them off in the bullpen. Let them get their big league time in the bullpen. And it could help too. It could help them. One, it's going to show them how to get themselves ready for a game a lot quicker. And two, it could be a piece that helps them get their confidence at the big league level because you're getting ready a lot faster. You're not really thinking as much compared to as a starter. You got a lot more time to think.
Is that what they were trying with Cole Reagans? Like I'm not saying that
it could be.
I'm not saying if it didn't work with Cole Reagans, like you have to take it off the table because everybody is different, and I get that. But I wonder if that's what they were trying to try out with Cole Reagans, and that hasn't gone super great.
I mean, yeah, I would say they are because it's more of trying to get somebody comfortable. Try to get him to feel better about himself while he's out there on the mound in those situations. Get him that big league time too. It's just tough because when you're not performing though, whether it's coming out of the pen or getting that starting opportunity, it's tough.
I will say the one positive and I'm having to search here. So if you're upset, if you're angry, if you're worried about the Rangers, I get all of that. Yesterday hurt. The 5-3 loss to Houston, I felt like that one hurt pretty well, too.
I think the bigger one, what was it, 11 to or 12 to 10?
12 to 11, you're
yeah,
right.
That one hurt.
Like, for as much struggle as we've had as of late with runners in scoring position, man, oh man, did the offense show out that day. And then just to lose it after you had taken the lead, that, you're right, that did feel like a punch in the face. Is if there is any kind of silver lining, and again, I'm having to work for this, is this is coming at a time when the Rays and Angels are also falling apart. Now, would you prefer that the Astros were falling apart right now? Well, yes. Yes, you would.
George Kirby helped you out in that regard.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
But the Angels are spiraling, and clearly the Rays,
That's injury-based.
who have been...
Doesn't matter why it's happening, Derek. It's happening.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm aggressive today.
And then the Rays, who have been the best team in baseball for most of the year, though clearly the Braves have taken that mantle, they've been spiraling as well. So if you're looking for positive, is good teams can run into struggles. And obviously, this has been a struggle for the Rangers.
And that's the thing, too. Houston may be winning right now. They struggled at the beginning. They're going to struggle again. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Every good team goes through the climb. The Braves are going to struggle at some point. They're going to hit a wall. They're not going to. Nobody's ever
It just ain't right
stays
now.
good the entire year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're totally right. And that was one of the things that we tried to caution a lot when everything was great for the Rangers is you're going to get into a garbage run of baseball, where you're just like, what are we doing right now?